This is a tutorial on how to learn to play the riff or hook, as you might call it, to Fancy Like. To learn the riff or hook to Fancy Like, you're going to be using a music notation called tab. Tab is a reference to a way of learning a song or reading music that is actually referring to each one of the strings on your instrument. So for ukulele tab, you're going to see 4 lines that represent each one of these strings. If you were playing guitar, then you would see 6 lines because the guitar has 6 strings on it. And so forth. Every string instrument does have tab for it if you want to learn that way. And each one of them is going to have the exact number of lines of the number of strings that the instrument has. In tab for ukulele, at least the tab that I wrote for Fancy Like, each one of those lines has a letter associated with it, and the letter actually refers to the letter pitch of the string. You might have dots underneath or right here at the end of your headstock, right here at your 0 fret, or that nut right there, as that's called. I don't have them there, but anyway, this is the G string. So as you're looking at the tab, the bottom line is referring to that G string, and the second line is referring to your C string, and it's lettered C, and the next line is referring to your E string, and yours is labeled E, and then the top line, as you're looking at it, is labeled A because this is your A string. Okay, each one of on the line, when you're trying to learn the music, there might be a number and some coding on it. And if it's a number, it refers to where you put your finger, where you place your finger on one of the frets. So if it's 0, it means don't put your fingers anywhere on the G string, but you do play the G string. For instance, the first 2 things that you play in the tab is 0, 0 on the G string. So that's 2 of those. You just play it twice. Okay, then if the next number is 1 and it's on the G, then you press your finger right here in the first fret. Or 2 is a 2nd fret, 3rd, 4th, and so on, until you get to where you can't play anymore on your fingerboard. Okay, so that's what tab looks like. And just for example, on the very beginning of this riff, it's going to be 0, 0, 4. Forget the H for now, but just 0, 0, 4. So that would be 0, 0, and then 4. And I really don't care which finger you use right up there. Don't think that you have to use the finger that I've always taught you, because actually it's in 4, and that would be your pinky. And do not use your pinky on that one. Your pinky's not strong enough. You might even want to use your middle finger because it's pretty strong. Okay, let's get on to learning this riff. Alright, so we're going to be learning how to decode this code that is tab. I'm looking at the very first measure of this, and I don't have anything until I get down to the G string. So that's this string right here. That's where we're going to be playing at the very beginning of this. You're actually going to be playing on the G, the C, and the E strings in the first measure, but the very beginning of that is just on the G string. Has a 0, 0, so that means no fingers. Open. So 0, 0, that's 2 of those. Good, got that. Then you see a 4, it's right here, but it also has an H before it, which means hammer on. That is sort of an advanced technique, which means you hit that right there, and you don't actually even use your thumb to play it. You just go 0, 0, hammer on. 0, 0, hammer on. Takes a lot of practice, and you'll even have to figure out which finger you like to use best. And sometimes the finger you choose, you really have to decide, because if I use this finger, it's going to be easier for me to get to the next one I have to hammer on over here with the next finger, my middle finger. I mean, you figure it out. Whatever works, whatever fingers you want to use. I really don't care. Just make sure it works and it sounds good. Okay. Here, let's go ahead and get started on okay. So there you have it. You're going to have to practice that. Oh, oh, hammer on 4. Oh, oh, 4. Oh, oh, 4. Practice that, I don't know, 50 times until it sounds right. Depends. You might get it in 30. Might take 100. I don't know. But go ahead, practice that, and then we'll get to the next one. Okay, by now you have practiced the very beginning of this measure, which is oh, oh, 4. Great. Now we're looking at the next part. It's on the C string, and it is O, hammer on 2. O, hammer on 2. That one just feels good. Feels easier. Okay, got that. Let's go back and get the beginning of the measure, which is actually on the G string. So that's O, O, 4, O, 2. And when you go up there, you gotta, and when it changes to the next string, make sure your thumb switches over to the next string. Okay, so let's try that. O, O, 4, O, 2. O, O, 4, oops. O, O, 4, O, 2. 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 Practice that. Probably not as many times as you had to practice the first section, but you got to put those two sections together and then come back and learn the next section. The next part of the very first measure works on the next string, which is the E, elephant, E string. All right, so as I'm looking at the code, that's O, hammer on 2, and then 3. O, hammer on 2, and then go to 3. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get this. O, hammer, 3. O, hammer, 3. O, hammer, 3. O, hammer, 2, 3. Yeah, if you notice, I leave my finger on the string. I don't lift it and then play it. You kind of get a little bit of a slide sound on that pitch, and that sounds pretty cool in this country song. I do use my thumb on the 3 to make it speak. Okay, practice that. That's a fun one. Practice that, 25, 30 times. And then we'll put all of them. Now we're going to play the entire first measure. There are 4 total in this riff hook, but we're going to be playing just the first one. Okay, it's actually the first and the second because it just repeats. But anyway, it's going to sound like this. Starting on string G, the G string. O, O, 4, O, 2, O, 2, 3. All right, so let's see. O, O, 4, O, 2, O, 2, 3. All right, I did so slowly I had to use my thumb on each one. All right, the whole thing sounds like this. O, O, 4, O, 2, O, 2, 3. Again, I only know that because I've listened to it a lot. O, O, 4, O, 2, O, 2, 3. Okay, now let's put it together. O, O, 4, O, 2, O, 2, 3. And now I'm going to actually do hammer on and not use my thumb on everything. You will notice that the hammer-ons sound weaker, but don't worry. When we plug your instrument in through the amp, we will hear it just fine. And then the faster you start to play it, the more it'll speak. Let's let's practice it together, and then I'll let you take your own time to practice. I'm going to go very slowly on this. O, O, 4, O, 2, O, 2, 3. Ready and go. O, O, 4, O, 2, O, 2, 3. Okay, practice that a bunch of times. And when you're finished with that, you will have the first and the second measure completed because, like I say, it repeats. All right, go practice.